You're watching the NCAA Softball Regionals presented by Capital One. At the regional final in Tallahassee, it's number 6 national seed Florida State facing Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks staved off elimination twice yesterday in a pair of thrillers. They defeated Kennesaw State in 10 innings, then they beat Auburn by 1 run. Meantime, the Seminoles also needed extra innings, winning on a walk-off inside the park home run. Wow. Welcome to JoAnne Graf Field. I'm Kara Capuano, joined once again by former U.S. national team player and coach Sherry Kemp. Sherry, this Jacksonville State squad won the Ohio Valley Conference Championship as a number 3 seed, and now they're playing today in a regional final as the number 4 seed of this 4-team regional.
Well, they are a team that's a perfect example of the old saying, on any given day, any team can win. I give a lot of that credit for the attitude to Coach McGinnis, who really has this team taking one pitch at a time. They've gotten terrific performances out of the circle by Faith Sims. They've had some heroics. They certainly had a great delivery yesterday by Alexis Jimerson, who was the hero. Not only did she pitch it, but she came through with the game winner.
Just an incredible story and an incredible Saturday for the Gamecocks, but in their first game on Friday against Florida State, Kylee Hanson no-hit them.
This is the mystery that Jacksonville State has to figure out today. Kylee Hanson's as good as I've ever seen her in that opening game. She seemed dialed in. She feels good. She threw a terrific no-hitter.
Both teams have played in the Super Regionals. The Gamecocks trying to advance a second time. Florida State seeking a 7th Super Regional. Welcome back to Tallahassee. Faith Sims with her 3rd start of regional weekend for Jacksonville State.
She's been a workhorse this weekend and really throughout the season for Jacksonville State. Just a ton of innings. You're going to see her in the low 60s. She'll use the drop off-speed curve. She'll hit a target here and there. But what I really want you to hear me say is that her goal from the outset was to keep the ball low in the zone, really limit hitters being able to lift the ball, and she has done that.
As we take a look at our Capital One starting lineup for Florida State, look at the averages off the top. Jessie Warren, 2-time ACC Player of the Year. She's your leadoff hitter. Carson Gordon with the walk-off inside the park home run yesterday, batting 2nd. And a candidate for National Freshman of the Year, Sydney Sherrill, in 3rd. This Florida State lineup is potent, powerful, and put together 8 runs in 5 innings to defeat Jacksonville State on Friday. Jessie Warren hit by the first pitch of the game.
There's no question this lineup is a bit daunting. What I love about Florida State is the fact that they have buttoned up all 3 aspects of the game of softball, and that is they are loaded up and down this lineup. They pitch extraordinarily well, and they play good defense to back it all up.
First pitch strike to Carson Gordon. Gordon, the junior out of Miami, Florida yesterday, was robbed and hit at the wall in left field, and later in the game, she certainly got her chance for payback. We didn't know if that one that Morgan Padani of Auburn skied to grab at the top of her mitt was going to go out or not, but had it contacted the wall, it certainly would have been an extra base hit.
For sure. Gordon's been hot. Exactly what you want a hitter to do this time of year.
Carson Gordon named this week to the NFCA All-Southeast Region First Team. 5 Seminoles getting All-Region honors. now 2 on for Florida State. Taking a look at the infield defense for Jacksonville State, the senior at the corner, Caitlin Sapp, third baseman, had a big game. Taylor Bashirs, in her first year with the program, has been stunning at shortstop, and that woman has been a big part of the glue. Ryan Luna, the catcher.
Luna's caught every single pitch in this regional, and I'll tell you, she has a smile on her face most of the time. She loves for the ball to get in the dirt. And she brings a lot of energy to that position.
Sydney Sherrill now ahead 2-0, the freshman out of Moore, Oklahoma. Went to Sophomore High School, the ACC Freshman of the Year. Not off the meat, and Jacksonville State is able to get the lead run, Bashirs to Sapp. They've got the first out and the lead runner, but still 2 on for Anna Shellnut.
This is a move in the lineup by Lonnie Alameda for today. They've been real steady in their offensive lineup, but today she moved Shellnut into this 4 spot. She was hitting the 6 hole the rest of this weekend. Maybe Alameda has a feeling that they may see some heroics out of Shellnut like they saw to wrap up the ACC tournament.
Lonnie Alameda in her 10th year at the helm of Florida State. What success this program has enjoyed recently. Speaking of success, how about Anna Shellnut last weekend at the ACC Championship? This on Saturday, Sherry.
Shellnut just had these Florida State fans exploding out of their chairs. That was a moment. It's one of those things you remember forever, and she wasn't having a particularly great game until that point.
A 3-run walk-off home run to give the Seminoles their 5th straight ACC championship title, beating Pitt 5-4. So you've got Carson Gordon yesterday, you've got Shellnut last Saturday, and these Seminoles have won 2 of their last 3 games in walk-off fashion.
Shellnut was so humble in her post-game interview. She was the one that immediately said, oh, I was having such a rough game. And she was actually having that rough game defensively, as the catcher had not stopped a few balls she thought she should have.
Got her inside for the 2nd out.
Faith Sims goes for a target pitch right there, runs one inside. It's not what Shellnut was looking for. She didn't look particularly happy about the call, but it was a good-looking pitch.
First pitch, an inside strike to Zoe Casas on the other side of the plate. The junior out of Rialto, California, one of 5 Seminoles on the All-ACC first team.
It's the assistant coach, Mark Weisner, that calls the pitches for Jacksonville State. And I think he's done a really good job keeping his staff confident throughout this tournament and giving them something to work with. And he has a lot of confidence. I'll tell you this, he has a ton of confidence in calling a drop ball with Ryan Luna behind the plate. And he should. She stops almost anything back there. We saw a lot of strikeouts yesterday, actually, on balls that got in the dirt. And it didn't matter.
That's part of what helped Ryan Luna win the job for catcher once conference play began. She frames the ball well, she stops the ball well, she's a great field leader. Coach McGinnis loves the energy that she has and the way that she manages the pitching staff.
sure there are a lot of people that are surprised to see Jacksonville State in this championship game against Florida State on Sunday. But I'll tell you, we've been around them all week, and their demeanor is just calm and very confident. They have been that way from point one. Coach McGinnis told us they didn't really necessarily expect to be here, especially through some rough patches in their season this year. But I'll tell you, you can't tell it from them. They're just all business. Good personality on this team. They're fun to be around.
Count is full now to Zoe Casas. Eighth pitch of this at-bat on the way. Ball 4. Bases loaded for left fielder Danny Morgan.
Danny Morgan. Back to the back.
Morgan with 11 RBI on this season. She's 1 for 4 with the bases loaded.
See Mark Weisner head out to the mound. Almost what we've seen every mound visit is Weisner, especially if there's some conversation to be had regarding pitching and just trying to get everybody calmed down. You got to remind them 2 outs, and look at that. It's a lighthearted. Everybody always thinks that's such a big, serious conversation, and a lot of times it's not. It's just, hey, shake it off. Let's get going. We just need 1 more out here, and we'll be in the dugout.
Back to Sims. She has fielded her position beautifully all weekend, and the bases left loaded for the Seminoles as we head to the bottom of the first and meet the bats for Jacksonville State.
All Regionals is presented by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. What's in your wallet?
That statue paying homage to one of my spirit animals, the beautiful dolphin, in front of the Capitol building here in Tallahassee as we go into the circle for Florida State. Kylee Hanson, first year with the Seminoles, program racks up the ACC Pitcher of the Year award.
It's hard to say enough about Kylee Hanson and what she has contributed to this Florida State program this year. What a great get for Lonnie Alameda. Experience and presence, there's no replacement for that. You'll see her use the curve and rise. She'll mix the changeup in, but I saw her last weekend and I saw her this week. And last weekend, in her defense, she had a bug. She was not feeling good physically, but I'm going to tell you what, she looked like $1 million 2 days ago.
So we take a look at the Capital One starting lineup for the Gamecocks. A pair of seniors played a huge role in getting to that second elimination game, including the leadoff hitter, Caitlin Sapp. The other senior in the 5 spot with a big hit, Leela Chambers, their right fielder. Sapp has 1 hit this regional weekend, and it was a home run in the top of the 7th to tie up the game against Kennesaw State.
One of the things that we've started to see more in college softball is just the defensive alignments based on the scouting, based on the spray charts and the tendencies for hitters. Florida State, one of those teams that's never afraid to get out of the ordinary defensively. Jacksonville State showed us some severe adjustments yesterday too on certain hitters. It's always fun to watch that, keep an eye on it and see if it plays out well.
Got Sapp swinging for the first strikeout of the game.
A lot of what we saw 2 days ago by Hanson. She tied her season high in strikeouts in that no-hitter. She had 13. It was just a 5-inning game, so do that math.
And Chisholm looking to use her speed, perhaps bunt her way on. But fouled that one well back. Oh, and 2 now to Anna Chisholm. Kylee Hanson started the first game of this regional against Jacksonville State with 10 straight strikeouts of the 13. Pops that one back. Chisholm's first hit this weekend was the first hit for Jacksonville State after being no-hit Friday by Florida State. And that was a 2-run home run to put the Gamecocks on the board against Kennesaw State. Let's take a look at that one, Sherry.
Coach McGinnis said she'd like to have a little bit more consistency out of Chisholm, but really talked about her talent and for her ability to spark this lineup at the top, and that was a big one. That got a lot of excitement in that dugout.
Second strikeout for Hanson.
Now batting for the Gamecocks, number 6, Taylor Bashir.
Taylor Bashir's the batter now. This junior shortstop started her career at Wallace State Community College, and it was a Gamecock connection which brought her to Jacksonville State. As a former All-OVC Gamecock, Sally Beth Birch is an assistant coach at Wallace State Community College. Birch called up Coach JoAnne McGinnis and said, I think I found a player that's a really good fit for your program. Of course, McGinnis knew about Bashir's as she played at Hewitt-Trussville High School. JoAnne McGinnis in her 25th year as head coach at Jacksonville State. 3 straight strikeouts for Kylee Hanson to start the regional final the way she started the regional weekend. She's got 16 Ks this weekend.
The NCAA Softball Regionals is presented by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. What's in your wallet?
When you've got a ballpark with a capacity of 1,000, you get creative of where you choose to sit. We got parking deck seating here in Tallahassee. Outside the left field fence, there's a beautiful berm down the left field line, and the reserved seats as well. Just a great ballpark. Some of our storylines from this Tallahassee Regional. Kylee Hanson's no-hitter we've documented. 4th NCAA Regional Final appearance for Jacksonville State in 2009. They won in Knoxville to advance to the Tuscaloosa Super Regional. They faced Florida State twice in 2008 in the Tuscaloosa Regional and beat the Seminoles twice. They also played in 2016 in the regional final at Auburn.
Leading up for the Seminoles.
Gotta hydrate on a steamy day in Florida. First pitch swinging for Callie Harrod. Sapp makes the play. There's another change in the lineup. along with some shifting of where players are batting. Cassidy Davis is inserted for the first time this weekend as the designated player. We had seen Elizabeth Mason in that role prior to today. Davis has shown up this weekend in a pinch hitting role.
Seems like by and large the strategy by Jacksonville State is to try to stay tight on these Florida State hitters. Give them those handle hits that don't go anywhere.
When Davis showed up as a pinch hitter on Friday against Jacksonville State, she drew a bases loaded walk, so she's got a walk and an RBI to her credit this regional weekend. 2-1 on the way. Chisholm to Hayley Sims. We called that combination a lot yesterday. That right side played its heart out with second baseman Anna Chisholm and first baseman Hayley Sims.
They had a lot of action and they were aces all day long. Did a great job over there.
Now to the senior center fielder, Morgan Claveman. Pops that one up. Luna makes the play. Quick inning for Faith Sims. Brings up her bats in the bottom of the second. As we welcome you back to Tallahassee, this Jacksonville State team has had to face a unique and devastating adversity. March 19th, an EF3 category tornado ripped through their campus, wind speeds in the 135 to 165 mile per hour range. The tornado devastated University Field, and the team immediately went to work, helping to clean up their facility, helping to clean up the community. They have grown stronger through it. University Field saw its lighting, its fences, the batting cages, the indoor facility all destroyed. So Choccolocco Park in Oxford, Alabama became the interim home field for these Gamecocks as Alexis Jimerson leads off the inning. That, coincidentally, is where the Ohio Valley Conference tournament has been played now for 3 straight years. So their default home field is where they won this year's OVC tournament. Alexis Jimerson. Sherry named her the MVP of the second elimination game this regional weekend.
Yeah, that was fairly no-brainer right there. She was a star yesterday, and the funny thing was that Jana McGinnis told us coming in here, the pre-tournament interview we did with her, that Alexis Jimerson was clutch. And there's no better description for her. They handed her the ball yesterday. She had been the DP in the other 2 games. They handed her the ball for the game against Auburn, and I'll tell you, she was fantastic. She pitched all 7 innings. She gave up 6 hits, only had 1 strikeout, but really controlled the hitters. And she was so hot that her teammates decided to cool her off.
Hey, short to the ball, right here, Lex. See it off the letter. Good.
She was a fun interview, though. If you get a chance, find that interview. She was very humble also. So fun to have them after the game. Be able to talk about the performances, and so many of these college players and college coaches, it's always top down, the team concept, and they are quick and to pass the credit around.
Strikes out on the 8th pitch of that at-bat. 4th for Hanson.
Jacksonville State just unable to decode Hanson so far. Their defense they haven't quite faced her for a complete game. Even if the other one was 5 innings, after this inning they can say they've seen her for 7. She's really good.
Leland Chambers, your batter now, the senior out of Zebulon, Georgia. Jimerson told us in that post-game interview that the seniors, Sapp, Chambers, Emily Woodruff in center field, Taylor Rogers, a bench player for them, they came to the team before elimination Saturday and said, we're not ready for our careers to be done yet. And Jimerson really took that message to heart.
Well, she sent him a text back, and she said, if I have a chance, I will do everything I can to keep that from happening, to keep this from being your last day. And she delivered.
Catcher Ryan Luna steps into the batter's box. 5 Ks for Kylee Hanson. Luna 1 for 8 on the weekend.
Take a look at Luna. She starts with an open stance. Look at that back foot. She was pretty tight in the last approach. See it right on the chalk line.
Two innings, 6 Ks for Florida State's Kylee Hanson. Chris, thank you very much. So much excitement. I mean, we're in the regional finals, and there's a couple of sites, Jerry, that haven't even decided which regional final they're going to see yet because of inclement weather all weekend. Lexington is one. We're back to the top of the lineup for the Florida State Seminoles. The true softball fan kind of keys in on players. It doesn't have to be a player for your team, but a player that just stands out, that you always remember and that you like to watch. Jessie Warren has been that player for so many fans. Since day one when she arrived here at Florida State.
Really, she's been impressive. Coach Alameda moves her to the top of this order this season. And she plays defense equally as impressive.
Rips that one to the wall and right. The Jessie Warren stand-up double, a tradition at JoAnne Graf Field.
So often the pitching strategy to Warren has been to keep her away. This ball's away. She's very comfortable going to that right center field slot, and she does it one more time.
12th double of the season. Second this regional weekend. The last one that she had was with the bases loaded, a 3 RBI double. This one creates a strong start here for the 3rd inning for the home team. Home team by venue, road team by regional final. Moving to first base this year with the graduation of former star for Florida State, Alex Powers.
You watch Gordon, she's got her back foot on the very back line of that batter's box. the message to Florida State for today would be to not try and let Jacksonville State hang around too long. They've proven that if you let them hang around, if you leave them a gap, an opportunity to win, they'll do it.
Gordon hit by a pitch. Excuse me, I'm sorry, that was ball 4. It's close.
Close to hitting it.
A free pass either way.
Exactly. As Sims is approaching 300 total pitches over 3 days, I think you're seeing a little of that show up. I think she's a lot less accurate, just the pinpoint accuracy that we've seen her with. That's her 286th pitch.
Faith Sims getting every win in the Ohio Valley Conference tournament, allowed just 2 runs over the last 3 games to take that tourney title and advance the team back to the NCAA field.
And she's been a smarter pitcher lately. Earlier in the season and even throughout the middle of the season, she was issuing a lot of walks. She was averaging a walk an inning, but really cleaned that up, especially for the tournament, and was a big reason why Jacksonville State was able to emerge with that tournament victory. And that was their automatic bid into regionals. I think that it's safe to say, well, Auburn got the at-large bid. Kennesaw State had a low enough RPI that they probably would have gotten an at-large bid, but Jacksonville State would not be here without that tournament win.
Back-to-back walks issued by Sims. We're introducing ESPN Plus, your home for more sports, more schools, more conferences, more ESPN. Stream ESPN Plus exclusively on the ESPN app for just $4.99 a month. Sign up now for ESPN Plus. That little puppy has been at pretty much every game this regional weekend. As usual, stands are packed at Florida State when we get to tournament time, and another conversation in the circle for Jacksonville State.
Yeah, I think it's really tough. I know that I was able to talk with Coach Weisner before this game and ask him what it looked like from the circle. He said if they could get Faith loosened up, get her beyond the soreness, she would get the start, but that he really thought that it would take more than her. So it's at a point where you have to make that judgment. She is having some obvious control issues at this point. And it's just how long do you stick with it? We saw Jimerson in the bullpen. She's ready to go. She's moved back into the dugout now and just really waiting for the nod.
First pitch strike to the catcher, Anna Shellnut. Shellnut 1 for 4 this season with the bases loaded. Into right field. Leila Chambers makes the play on the ball, and Florida State puts its first run on the board with the sac fly from Shellnut.
Florida State gets execution right here with the sac fly. Just get something out of the infield, and you're going to put a run on the board. But smart move by Chambers in right field. Watch where she throws it, right to second base. That's perfect. That keeps that runner at first from advancing. You didn't have a shot at anybody else. You didn't have a shot at the runner at home. You certainly didn't have a shot at the runner at third base. So be smart with the cutoff.
Runners on the corners. 1 out for Zoe Casas. Sydney Sherrill puts herself in a scoring position. We haven't talked enough this weekend about how effective Florida State is in base stealing this season. How aggressive they are on the base paths.
Chalk up 131 for the season. Staggering.
Zoe Casas 8 for 12 with a runner on third and less than 2 outs this season. She draws a walk.
Yeah, I think if you're Jacksonville State, it's time to make a move.
5 walks issued by Faith Sims. She has hit a batter. That was the first batter that she faced in Jesse Warren. And Jacksonville State is handing the ball to Kirsten Titus. She'll warm up. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Tallahassee. Jacksonville State with a new pitcher in the circle. This is junior Kirsten Titus.
Kirsten Titus made an appearance on Friday in relief. You'll see her in the 50s. She's going to throw a lot of curveballs. This is a pitcher that's kind of that junky, off-speed drop type pitcher. And the adjustment that Florida State will have to make is number 1 to the speed and just becoming patient. Totally different look here.
Well, Titus ahead 0-2 against Danny Morgan. Bases loaded for Morgan. She has come through in this kind of an opportunity time and again. She was the tournament MVP last year in the ACC. Shorter play this time for Chambers to try to get it home, and she cannot. 2-0 Florida State.
Thought we were going to have a play at the plate. The timing was there, but Ryan Luna just was unable to ever really get control of the ball. Chambers knew it. She positions herself, makes sure she's coming in on this ball, ready to throw. And you can just see Ryan Luna do some battle trying to bring that one in.
Well, after watching Carson Gordon leg out the inside the park home run yesterday, we're not going to question her wheels. She had a good beat to make it home in time. Kylee Harrod fouls that one off. She had a key 2-out RBI single yesterday in the winner's bracket when Florida State needed extra innings to defeat Auburn. We were treated to some terrific games yesterday in Tallahassee. The 2-1 finish in 8 in the first game of the day. The second game of the day goes 10 innings, 5-3 Jacksonville State, and then the nightcap, 3-2 Jacksonville State in a comeback, and they send Auburn home.
And that game had some back and forth in it. It was exciting.
The Shears trying to make the play at first, not in time. Another run across for the Seminoles, 3-0.
Florida State is just so aggressive out there. They wheel it, they take the extra base, they come in here on the ground ball on the infield regardless. But they have a lot of great qualities in this softball team. and it can be intimidating. The lid can come off and it can get messy in a hurry if you're not careful.
Cassidy Davis, first pitch she sees, drops in and then gets away from Jada Terry. 2 more score for the Seminoles.
I think Jada Terry was a little indecisive in left field. I think she at first thought she might have a chance to dive for it, then pulled up short with 2 outs. If she makes the diving catch, the inning's over. But it's just a tough one to make that split-second decision on. But that's what I'm talking about. There's just a lot going on out here. Florida State, if you crack that door for them, they will just control the momentum.
Florida State, number 8, Karina Rosario.
Pinch runner for Florida State is Karina Rosario on second base.
Now batting for Florida State, number 2, Morgan Claveman.
Morgan Claveman, your batter now, the senior out of Refugio, Texas. Well decorated, 3-time All-ACC first team member. She was a second team All-American last year. She's dealt with some leg injuries her whole career, and they've really troubled her this season. See her in the school rankings in the top 10 in several categories, 6th in ACC history in career stolen bases, known for her speed and her skills as the anchor in center field and the outfield.
She looked like she was going to depend on that speed a little bit right there. She intended to bunt, and then the ball was really coming right at her, so she pulled back.
Pitch on the way to Claveman. Morgan Claveman also puts the student in student athlete. COSIDA Academic All-American. She is heading to architecture school now that she's graduated here in Tallahassee. The third out of the inning, but Florida State on the board in a big way with a 5-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the third. You're watching the NCAA Softball Regionals presented by Capital One. So many stories to follow this weekend around the nation. A couple of surprise teams in the Liberty Flames and Cal State Fullerton. The Titans and the Flames both winning on the road in regionals. So UCLA and South Carolina are the 2 teams that are going to have to win 2 on regional final Sunday to stay alive as a national seed. 33-2 are the national seeds this regional weekend. 3 tournament newbies, including one that we saw here, Kennesaw State, winless in their first NCAA tournaments at the Division I level. Hayley Sims to lead off the inning. She's had a great weekend offensively for Jacksonville State. 3 for 8, a couple of RBI.
A huge mountain in front of Jacksonville State right now is Kylee Hanson. They just have not barreled up on anything against her. I mean, she has been in command against them. It was the no-hitter, the 5-inning no-hitter on Friday. And now today, just a lot more of the same.
That the first ball that's been put in play by Jacksonville State in this game after Hanson opened with the 6 Ks. Of the 15 outs that she registered in the win on Friday, 13 strikeouts and 2 pop-outs to center field.
You look around at this park and we've seen a lot of the fans. They're in the outfield, they're on the parking structure, they're packed in here, and you can see why it was so important for Coach Alameda to want to be one of those top 8 seeds, to be able to host regionals, and then if they made it to the next week, super regionals right here in this park. There's a lot of tradition here. This is a program that is steeped in a winning tradition, and a lot of the reason is that woman right there. That is the namesake for this beautiful park.
Coach Graf popped by to say hello to us, which made me feel very honored just that she wanted to say hi. JoAnne Graf Field. She has built a true champion here in Tallahassee.
And still, as you can see, just very, very supportive of this program all the way around. I had an opportunity last year to speak at an alumni function that they have here. Coach Graf was also there, but it's alumni, it's current players, it's their parents and families, and it's just a real family-oriented program without question. It's something that Coach Alameda says is one of their core values, and Lonnie Alameda very quick to tell you how proud she is to be able to carry on the tradition that was started by Coach Graf.
The 2-2 pitch fouled off by Terry. Well, and Coach Alameda telling us this morning, Sherry, that it's very important to her to continue that tradition of thinking about how can she pass along what she's learned about coaching to the players that have played for her that want to be coaches. Paying it forward is very important to her in the tradition of JoAnne Graf. Gets under that one, and it is in play. Nice play at the netting by Carson Gordon for the second out. The Women's College World Series returns to Oklahoma City, and the action begins Thursday, May 31st. High noon Eastern. It'll be live on ESPN. For more information, you can go to NCAA.com, your official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. First pitch swinging for center fielder Emily Woodruff. That ranges foul.
I want to talk about this foul ball catch by Carson Gordon, and this is all about being in your home park. We've talked about it throughout this week, knowing the perimeters, knowing the distance that you have, the room you have, and being familiar with fly balls in particular.
Ground ball to Jesse Warren. Kylee Hanson 9 for 9 with first pitch strikes. Still cruising through 3. 5-0 Florida State. We'll talk to Jana McGinnis right after this. We're through 3 in Tallahassee, and as we head to the top of the 4th, we welcome in Jacksonville State head coach Jana McGinnis. Coach, Kylee Hanson no-hit the Gamecocks when you saw her on Friday. What was the team's offensive approach coming into this rematch?
We just tried to take something off of our swing, just get to contact and shorten everything up. But we're still having trouble. We're just trying to move around in the box to make her adjust till we can find something. And she's a great pitcher, and she's the best pitcher we've faced all year, especially with movement. And we just got to keep battling and don't let it become a mental thing.
Coach, I want to say this. We've really enjoyed watching your team this weekend. How proud are you of their overall performance here at this regional?
I can't even explain it. This is the reason I coach. These ladies, they give me and the coaching staff in Jacksonville State University everything that they have, and they take a lot of pride. They want to wear this uniform, and they wouldn't trade it for anything, and I truly believe that. And I'm so proud of these girls, what they've overcome, and that's what sports is about. You're going to get knocked down, get back up, and fight for another day.
Thank you for joining us, Coach.
Thank you.
Well said, as usual. Time spent chatting with Jana McGinnis about softball, about life, is always time well spent.
She's a what you see is what you get coach and human being. She's really enjoyable always to talk to and just hear her philosophy and her outlook on her team and just overall. She talked about the tornado and the challenges that they faced this season and really how fortunate her team was to be able to help the community come back from that disaster. And I am actually looking forward in a couple of years to seeing Coach McGinnis coach her daughter, who is understand, a committed player to Jacksonville State.
Her daughter Peyton, a shortstop, a natural leader, according to assistant coach Mark Weisner. Count is 2-1 to the Florida State leadoff batter, Jesse Warren. If you're keeping score at home, you see that every Seminole had a chance to bat in that third inning, in which they scored 5 runs. Warren got that inning started with a double, and she gets this inning started with a single.
We talked about Warren getting so many pitches away from her. This one, not so. This one gets in on her a little bit. She gets fisted just a touch, but still shows you her power and just dropping that one in, fighting it off.
Yeah, the strength of her swing, Sherry, that she could hit it not off of the meat of the barrel and still hit it that far into shallow left, that says a lot.
Now batting for the Seminoles, number 12, Carson Florida.
Pinch runner is Deja Bush for Jesse Warren. We've seen both of the primary pinch runners for Florida State, and Karina Rosario in the last inning, and Deja now here in the fourth.
We've seen that throughout this regional, and what you saw right there was Gordon try to ask for timeout. As a matter of fact, she stepped out of the box. She was never given timeout. That's the umpire's prerogative. And we've seen them do that less. I think that's something, I like the change of that. It really stops any type of cat and mouse and just kind of keeps the pace of the game moving.
Bush steals second comfortably, trying now for third. Got it.
Deja Bush just moves so easily. Her speed is easy speed. She went into second, popped up, was ready to go on the overthrow.
Ball 3 now to Carson Gordon. She's drawn 2 walks in this game, a team leading 46 walks drawn on the season for the first baseman. Ball 4. Fans, don't miss a minute of the action moving forward in the NCAA softball tournament. We're taking you to all the best live action on the Bases Loaded channel on the ESPN app. You can see every game and every big moment on the road to the Women's College World Series, only on the ESPN networks. Sydney Sherrill, your batter now. She reached on a walk in the third, stole second, came around to score. Speaking of stealing second, Carson Gordon now also in scoring position to join Bush at third. Into right. That'll drop. Bush scores. Gordon holds off.
Jacksonville State outfield playing pretty deep, and rightfully so, with the power potential of these hitters, but it's allowing these hits that are just not completely barreled up, not totally solid hits. It's allowing those to drop in. Saw the one from Warren and then the one from Sherrill just then.
Anna Shelna is hit by a pitch.
Now batting for the Seminoles, number 6, Zoe Casas.
Zoe Casas stepping into the batter's box with the bases loaded.
Caitlin Sapp, the third baseman, we've talked about her leadership throughout this tournament. She called the timeout right there. This is her conference to really bring her teammates in. Talking to Kirsten Titus, but just a little huddle up from the entire infield to try to get it together themselves out there. Give Titus a little confidence. Leadership role there out of Caitlin Sapp all year long. Coach McGinnis could not tell us enough great stuff about her.
Zoe Casas, 3 for 7 this season with the bases loaded. Some action in the Jacksonville State bullpen. Casas into right. Chambers comes up with it, throws it home to make sure that only 1 run scores on the play.
Just a solid hit right there. It's actually pulling the outside pitch, and I think that's just a speed variation that you're seeing from Titus being in the mid to lower 50s, but Florida State continue to try to keep the pedal down, and what they're after here in the 4th inning is to try to extend this lead past the 8 runs.
The ball is handed to Nicole Rodriguez. We'll let the freshman warm up and be right back.
Now pitching for the Gamecocks, number 1.
Well, we welcome you back to Tallahassee, Florida State with the bases loaded, and Jacksonville State with a new pitcher, Nicole Rodriguez.
Rodriguez is a right-hander, freshman. Gets a nice, quick, big out to start it off. Rodriguez will stay in the top half of the zone a lot more. Low 60s with her speed, even her rise ball will be up there, but her fastball will also rise a little, according to the scouting report, and then she'll mix that curve and change up.
So Rodriguez gets Danny Morgan to pop up in foul territory. Nice catch by Ryan Luna there to make the first out of the inning.
The change up, 45 miles an hour. That's a nice little drop off of her faster pitches, which are in the low 60s.
Elizabeth Mason is the pinch runner at first base for Casas. Herod pops it up. Chisholm makes the play. Runners stay planted. So the freshman Rodriguez out of Fort Myers, Florida, 3-time All-State selection, has come in and gotten 2 quick outs. Karina Rosario, the batter now. She came in to pinch run for designated player Cassidy Davis in the last inning. And she is staying in the spot in the lineup, taking some cuts with the bases loaded, 2 outs. Rosario into left, Jada Terry makes the play. Florida State leaves the bases loaded, 7-0 advantage for the Seminoles, and we'll talk with their head coach Lonnie Alameda about it after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Suavemente Sunday.
We welcome you back to Tallahassee, where the atmosphere has become very festive between innings. By request of the trainer, Eunice Hernandez, a song is playing, fans are dancing, and we're welcoming in Florida State head coach Lonnie Alameda to chat about what she's seen so far from the Seminoles. I want to start in the circle with Kylee Hanson. What was the plan for her, knowing how she had dominated Jacksonville State on Friday?
I mean, we just stick with the same game plan, see if we got some adjustments and some swings. And, I mean, she's spinning the ball really well right now. So, you know, it's nice to see her stay calm and in control here and just keep spinning it.
Coach, I know there are a lot of positives to being one of those top 8 seeds, but what do you think is the biggest advantage of being home?
You know, I mean, I think just you're comfortable in your field, your fans. There's just a comfort to get to the field every day. You know, it's just nice sleeping in your own bed, all those kind of things. So, yeah, that's the nice part of it. And we're back in our shady bullpen, so that's the good thing, too.
And there's that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Yesterday, Sherry asked Coach Alameda about what it was like to move across the field to the other bullpen, the foreign bullpen. They're still dancing here at Florida State. And thank you, Leslie Ferris, for the great moves in the background of the interview with Coach Alameda. That's Karina Rosario's family to the left there, dad in the hat. Coach Alameda was IDing everybody up on their feet, dancing for us. And the rhythm, the routine, it really means a lot at this time of year in the postseason for the 8 teams that not only get to host regional weekend, but perhaps also host super regional weekend if they move on to the next stage on the road to the Women's College World Series.
There's so much to building your schedule and making sure that you're challenging yourself and your team for sure and getting them ready for postseason. But there's also that chess match about getting your RPI to be the right number and having a strong enough case to get one of those top 8 seeds. And Coach Alameda and her staff pay a lot of attention to that. They're calculating that from the time they make that schedule and finalize it and write it down to the time, even last week at the ACC tournament.
Caitlin Sapp drives the 0-2 pitch onto the burn in left field.
Talked to Coach Alameda pregame last week before those ACC tournament games, and she had her eye on what was going on around the country and how a win by this team or a loss by that team could affect them and push them out of that top 8. Now, that didn't happen, but it was on her mind.
Second strikeout today for Caitlin Sapp. 20th strikeout of the weekend and 7th today for Kylee Hanson.
Watch the curveball just move out of the reach of Sapp. That ball stays down in the zone, and when you've been striking out against a rise ball, you like the look of that pitch. That's the one that you want to hit, is the one that stays down. But Hanson just a nasty combination with those 2 pitches and extremely effective here.
Ahead 0-2 now against Anna Chisholm. Chisholm struck out in the first as Hanson opened with 6 straight strikeouts to this game. 10 straight strikeouts on Friday when she faced Jacksonville State. Chisholm goes down swinging. Fans, Sports Center tonight with Scott Van Pelt appears after Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. He's breaking down Game 3 between the Rockets and the Warriors. Also looking ahead to Game 4 between the Celtics and the Cavs, and highlights and analysis from the Golden Knights Jets Game 5 at Sports Center after the Indians and Astros on ESPN and the ESPN app. Hanson works so quickly, Sherry.
Yeah, her pace. I love it, though. Her rhythm is fast, and Coach Alameda plays into that rhythm by making sure that she is not the one that slows it down. She gives the signal quickly. She knows what pitch she's going to call next and doesn't fool around at all.
Third time this game that Hanson has struck out the side.
It's just over and over and over. Kylee Hanson, extremely effective. Doesn't matter what she throws in.
You're watching the NCAA Softball Regionals presented by Capital One. The big bracket on the wall down the left field line to show the fans what's happening at the regionals around the nation. Our regional final today pairing Jacksonville State and Florida State. In the bigger picture of this bracket, Sherry, the winner here in Tallahassee will face the winner out of Baton Rouge. LSU comfortably in its regional final today. The Fighting Tigers of LSU haven't even allowed a run yet this weekend at home in Baton Rouge.
A lot of great matchups potentially in the super regional round. There always are. I know everybody was worried about or focused on the UCLA-Arizona potential matchup, and UCLA, as you said earlier, has to win 2 to even get there.
And a lot of people were focused on this matchup as well because it was here in the super regionals last year when Florida State, as the 4 seed, fell in 3 games to LSU. That's another potential super regional rematch. Morgan Claveman leading off the inning here in the 5th, and that's a role that she's been familiar with in her career.
Yeah, a lot of times Florida State has seen her at the top of the order. She is just that short game, rely on the speed. That's the way she plays it.
Claveman lifts it into left. Jada Terry makes the play. It's back to the top of the lineup, and Jessie Warren. She has been on base 3 times today. Hit by a pitch in the 1st, doubled in the 3rd, single in the 4th. Deja Bush scored in the 4th, but 2 runs to the credit of Jessie Warren's leadoff position. She is just an offensive technician. So Jada Terry made the play, but the ruling on that play was that Morgan Claveman was out of the box, out of the batter's box. A new rule that has certainly changed the landscape for a lot of hitters in Division I softball this year.
Claveman was actually out of the batter's box on her last at bat as well. It's just a big adjustment when the hitters used to be able to step on the line. The rule used to be, up until last year, that they had to be completely out of the box, and that's a really hard call to make. Sort of like the 24-inch rule for the pitchers. You have to be completely out, and 100%. You have to be really, really sure as an umpire to make that call. So this year, when the batter's box changed, it only has to be any part of your foot out of the box. We've seen it called a lot more frequently.
Warren draws the walk. Fans, you're going to want to download the new 7 Innings podcast, a weekly podcast chronicling the road to the Women's College World Series. Features all the ESPN personalities covering the sport all season, especially our Oklahoma City team, and it's going to entertain you all the way with special coverage of the Women's College World Series from the first pitch to the last. I think they've had 7 episodes so far. I'm a fan, I'm a listener. What I really like about it is you get a little bit more of the behind-the-scenes personalities of Beth Mowens, Michelle Smith. Holly Rowe especially is shining on the podcast.
Go figure.
I know, right? Give Holly a microphone and a little chance to have some fun, and she's going to run with it in the best way. 1-1 on the way to Carson Gordon. You mentioned, Sherry, Florida State trying to get to an 8-run advantage here. We are in the 5th inning. Remind the fans why that's important.
Well, after 5 complete, the 8-run lead, that type of deficit constitutes a complete game.
Caitlin Sapp gets the lead runner. Gordon safe on the fielder's choice.
The ground ball gets to Sapp quickly, and she gets the lead runner. It's the exact play she should be making.
Sydney Sherrill, your batter now. First pitch strike. She reached on a fielder's choice, walked and came around to score, and an RBI single in the 4th inning. Typically productive day for this candidate for top freshman of the year. She's one of the top 10 finalists.
It's part of that reload by Coach Alameda and her staff. A lot for Florida State fans to be excited about with this young player. I'll tell you, to be a finalist, top 10 finalist on that freshman of the year is doing something this season.
Gordon takes second and then gets caught between second and third. The ball gets dropped. Gordon still is in 2/3, and they got her. Well, that was adventuresome.
Carson Gordon did a lot of juking, but in the end, Jacksonville State with the 3rd out.
We welcome you back to Tallahassee, the new one-year home of number 20, Kylee Hanson. Boy, has she been comfortable in her year with Florida State.
She's had a terrific year, and she's been dominant today. The 1 through 6 hitters for Jacksonville State are 0 for 9, 9 strikeouts. She's thrown 12 out of 12 first pitch strikes, and of her 53 total pitches, 43 of those have been strikes. So that just spells dominance, it spells comfort, and she is comfortable here in Tallahassee. But a big shock to a lot of people that this is where she spent her 4th and final season in college softball.
An All-American in 2016 with FAU. She ended up getting injured in 2017, graduated from FAU. She's pursuing a master's degree here in public health and playing in her final year of eligibility.
And that was the rich get richer when Hanson landed here at Florida State. Just huge part of this pitching staff. Megan King, also a very good pitcher for the Seminoles, but it was Hanson that was the ACC Pitcher of the Year, and who's really just added a lot of that veteran expertise, experience. It's such an intangible.
We've seen the sophomore Alexis Jimerson out of Jackson, Tennessee have some outstanding at-bats this weekend. And that one, she goes down looking after fouling off several.
It's just been all game long. They just have not found an answer for Hanson. That's a screwball strikeout. She's done it with the curveball. She's done it with the rise ball.
4 in a row, 10 in the game. 14 for 14 now in first pitch strikes from Kylee Hanson. Leila Chambers, a player that missed several weeks of the season with a broken hand, finished the year on a slump, and then she burst out in the tournament, hit .417 with a couple home runs and 5 RBI to help get Jacksonville State here. Pops that one up. And a shell nut. Didn't have time. Excuse me, we have had a change at the catching position. Good catch. That's Elizabeth Mason, who came in as a defense replacement after pinch running.
And she hangs with it. You should have seen Carson Gordon looking at Mason. They're there to back her up in case she dropped it, but she brings it down.
Well, I could see the catcher under the play, and I was looking at Carson Gordon, which is why I initially misidentified Elizabeth Mason. Hi, welcome to the catching role, Elizabeth, and we're going to really test you right now. Go.
For the game, number 44, Lex Hall.
The redshirt freshman out of Tampa in the starting lineup the first 2 games this regional weekend as the designated player. Hanson ahead, 1-2 against Jacksonville State catcher Ryan Luna. Sorry, that is not Ryan Luna. That is Lex Hull, the other catcher for Jacksonville State. A lot of substitutions happening here in this 5th inning. Lex Hull, the junior out of Louisville, Kentucky. Pops out to Callie Herrick. 3 up, 3 down for Kylee Hanson as we're through 5 in Tallahassee with Florida State up 7-0. Thanks for that update, Chris. I had seen earlier that Northwestern had the 4-3 advantage at Georgia, but of course Georgia would have had the opportunity to play one more to try to win at home. Those Bulldogs are scrappy in Athens, Sherry. We've done postseason work there. I think we had a super regional there a few years ago when they welcomed in Baylor, and they are so hard to beat.
Well, what a season they've had. Lou Harris Champer, the SEC Coach of the Year, just on the performance that team was able to put up after losing the race.
Brittany Gray came in dealing her senior season, ended up with a biceps injury about the midway point of the year, and they just kept winning.
Yeah, I think she was 16-1 when her career ended.
Now, Sydney Sherrill was in the batter's box in the 5th inning when Carson Gordon was caught stealing to end the inning, so she's leading off the 6th here. That Sherrill hails from Moore, Oklahoma. Of course, University of Oklahoma is where Coach Alameda played her college softball.
Yes, she did.
Coach Alameda told us that the softball team back in that day used to spend a lot of time around the baseball team, and it was from watching the coaches within the baseball program that really started to draw her intrigue about the process of coaching. Not just going out and lacing up your sneakers and grabbing your mitt and playing, but the approach to the game. Sydney Sherrill grounds out to short to lead off the inning. Thinking about a plan and being technical and what specifically do we need to work on today in practice. That started to really plant the coaching bug for Coach Alameda.
Yeah, Coach Alameda, you may not expect it just in looking at her, knowing that she didn't play baseball, but she is very much a baseball strategist and really enjoys that aspect of it.
She is one of my favorite coaches to talk to, a lot like Coach McGinnis across the field. She's just so candid and open and loves a dialogue. So Anna Shellnut still hitting in her spot in the lineup, the cleanup spot. They got a little bit creative with the designated player position, bringing in Elizabeth Mason as a pinch runner, using her as the catcher. Karina Rosario as a pinch runner, stayed in the DP spot in right field now. And we're all sorted as to where everybody is in the lineup and in the field. Into right, foul. Coming into the regional weekend, I asked Coach Alameda, who's your hottest hitter right now? And she smiled and chuckled and said, Anna Shellnut. Of course, that is a credit to her 3-run walk-off home run to win the ACC tournament title, 5th in a row for Florida State, to complement 6 straight regular season championships for the Seminoles.
That ball ran in on Shellnut. That was almost just a defensive swing at that point. Nicole Rodriguez has done a nice job in relief. 2 2/3 innings pitched. She hadn't given up a hit. No runs, just a walk. She doesn't have any strikeouts, but she's done a nice job just controlling the hitters and getting outs.
Count is full for Shellnut. Freshman Rodriguez, one of the pitchers of the future for this proud Jacksonville State program. The other 2 pitchers who have seen some time in the circle today, starter Faith Sims and Kirsten Titus, came in relief. 8th pitch of this at bat coming in to Anna Shellnut. Ball 4. Fans, make ESPNW.com your online home for some terrific softball content this postseason. 3 weekends in the life of Paige Parker, the superstar for Oklahoma. Farmers flourish in the Tennessee infield. That is a great story about Karen and Ralph Weekly and the players that they've recruited in the last couple of years, including Megan Gregg, who grew up on a peach farm. And of course, all of the scores, highlights, and analysis you can want. Rock Benavidez is the pinch runner for Anna Shellnut at first. A freshman out of Corpus Christi, Texas. This is where Elizabeth Mason was inserted into the batting lineup in Zoe Casas' position. Mason this weekend, 1 for 4 with a run scored and an RBI. Mason out of Tampa, Florida, redshirted last year to develop as a player, and I love this story, and it really captures the family atmosphere here at Florida State. Her family came to every game regardless, even during her redshirt year, just to support the Seminoles, start their addiction to this program. Karina Rosario's family, the same thing. She's out of Pensacola, Florida, and Rosario has really been a role player, primarily a pinch runner and a defensive replacement in the outfield, and they're here every game.
And the thing we know about the Rosarios is that they don't want to miss a chance to dance.
I knew you were going there as soon as you started. Quick conversation between Ryan Luna and Nicole Rodriguez in the circle as they try to manage this moment. Full count to Mason. Family, one of the core values of Florida State. Smart, another, on and off the field. Aggressive, competitive, and committed. Those letters, FS for Florida State and ACC for the conference in which they play. Coach Alameda told us they developed their core values a few years ago, and it was a collaborative effort between the coaching staff and the players. She said, we didn't want to just come up with some values and hand them to the players. We wanted to ask for their input too.
She said she thought it was very important that it did work that way so that everybody was committed and it really represented the team.
Mason pops up for the second out. When they said, think about a word that starts with an F for Florida State, family was the resounding answer for the entire coaching staff and all the players. That's where it started. Aggressive, we certainly see that with the way this offensive plays, the way that both of the starting pitchers, Kylee Hanson and Megan King, go after batters. The pinch hitter now is another young lady known for her dancing skills, Leslie Ferris. Ferris, the sophomore out of St. John's, Florida. Shaking that off. As the umpires discuss whether it was a foul ball or she was hit by a pitch, here's Leslie. That's like a little combo of a little hula, a little Zumba, a little shaky, shaky Latin. Sherry, I speak as a licensed Zumba instructor. And they have made their decision. The umpiring crew has ruled that Ferris was hit by a pitch, that it was not a foul ball, so there are runners now in first and second. Let's take a look at that.
Jana McGinnis's argument is she believes that she was in the act of swinging. Used to always say the hand is part of the bat, and that is not the lingo anymore. That does not apply, but it would apply if she swung, if she was swinging into it. Now the question is, was she or was she not? She looked like she was checking it out.
Now batting for the Seminoles, number 10, Kylee Harrod.
Callie Harrod, your batter now. The undisputed leader of this team. It's a role that Harrod asked for at the beginning of the year. She wanted it, and Coach Alameda says she's become our go-to person. Herod, one of 3 players on this team to start every game this season. When you're talking about the 60th game of the season, which is what this game represents for both Jacksonville State and Florida State, 60th game of the season, to start every single one, I think it deserves a little recognition. It's very impressive. Consistency, commitment, tenacity. Shows how important you are to the team, too. That they want you in that lineup every single day. A walk to Herod. Let's celebrate all the players at the Tallahassee Regional that have started every game this season. Victoria Draper for Auburn, Olivia Tamowitz and shortstop Jesse Mullen for Kennesaw State, Herod, Gordon, and Sherrill for Florida State, and for Jacksonville State, Bashirs, Jimerson, and Woodruff. All at important positions too, Sherry. We've got a couple center fielders and Woodruff and Draper on that list, a couple of shortstops and Mullen and Bashirs, and Herod. Those are the spots where you want that consistency. A little fun there with the first base coach and a familiar face to this program, Ellie Cooper. We've mentioned how Alex Powers was replaced by Carson Gordon at first. Sydney Sherrill came in at second for Cooper. Jessica Burrows in the circle has been replaced a little bit by Kylee Hanson in that two-way scenario that they had last year with Burrows and King. It's Hanson-King this year. And of course at the catcher spot, Sydney Broderick, the longtime backstop, replaced by Anna Shelna at that position.
Cooper's one of those players you spoke of earlier that Lonnie Alameda told us she feels such a responsibility for, and just making sure she prepares her adequately as a coach to go out there and do what she really wants to do for her future.
She's currently pursuing her master's in sports management, wants to be a coach.
And Cooper on the other side of that was laughing about the fact that Coach Alameda was just going to have to sort of shove her out of the nest.
She said
really
she can't get rid of me. Yeah. Big moment here for Cassidy Davis with 2 outs and the bases loaded. Pops it up. Hayley Sims calls for it. Jacksonville State again keeps that 8th run off the board as we head to the bottom of the 6th. The Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City begins on May 31st. That first game that day will be at noon Eastern on ESPN. We know you'll be tuning in. Can Florida State get back there? That's one of the questions here in Tallahassee. What's happening in Baton Rouge? That's another question here in Tallahassee, because the winner of the Baton Rouge Regional will take on the winner of the Tallahassee Regional. Fordham falling to LSU in the first game there in run rule fashion, very similar to what Florida State did against Jacksonville State. But a credit to the Gamecocks today, because Florida State has left bases loaded 3 times. They've left 10 on base. They're 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position through 6 innings.
Yeah, I think that's a number. Even coming out of the ACC tournament last weekend, Florida State left 25 on base. They left 10 on base in that championship game, and I just think that is something that they have to stay focused on. I can understand this type of a game. It can become easy to get maybe a little less focused. You have a big cushion, big lead with that 7-0 gap, and really just the bigger part of that is the fact that Jacksonville State has not been able to figure out Kylee Hanson at all. So I think the Florida State dugout, you can just see it in their actions as well. They're very comfortable at this point, but it's kind of just paying attention to that, cleaning it up. You always want to think about next week. What do we have to do? If we get there, and I think at this point they believe they are, what is that going to take? And you're not going to be able to continue to leave people on base.
Hayley Sims lifts it into left to the wall. Sims stops at second. A stand-up double for Jacksonville State's first baseman.
This is doing something. This is 2 games worth against Hanson. This is what Jacksonville State was not able to do, and that was just find a gap, earn a hit. Well done by Sims. A lot of power opposite direction there. That's warning track power for the double.
9th double of the season for Sims and 2nd this regional weekend. And for the Gamecocks, their first hit of the game against Kylee Hanson, that's a big deal. Once one player can see a pitch, sometimes you can create some momentum for the rest of your teammates. When you show them what success looks like, it breeds more.
Well, and you could feel it. You could see it in that Jacksonville State dugout.
Jada Terry the other way. That was well played. She was just in the right spot.
That was actually a solid hit into right field. Rosario makes a good play on it, and depth-wise, she was in exactly the right spot. You think about it, though, Kara. Had Florida State been able to put the 8th run up, Hanson would have thrown her second no-hitter against Jacksonville State.
So Zoe Casas is back in right field for Florida State and made that play on Jada Terry. In great position there. Emily Woodruff, the batter now for Jacksonville State, one of the senior leaders for the Gamecocks. Career 300 hitter, but baffled on this day by Kylee Hanson. And it's back to the top of the lineup, and another of the senior leaders for this Jacksonville State program, Caitlin Sapp. Coach McGinnis tells us Sapp is the unsung hero for this team because she's going to come up big at some point in any game that Jacksonville State plays. Might be a defensive play. Yesterday it was that game-tying home run in the first elimination game. They eventually won that in extra innings against Kennesaw State. Coach McGinnis loves the calmness, the calming influence that Sapp brings to her squad. Flies out to left to end the inning. So the leadoff double for Sims, but she's left on base as we're through 6 in Tallahassee. Florida State up.
The NCAA Softball Regionals is presented by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. What's in your wallet?
A wonderful celebration of dance for an announcer who loves to dance herself. Great job all weekend long by our crew here at Florida State. I've been so impressed with everyone that we work with, Sherry. You're all right, too. Kara Capuano and Sherry Kemp back with you here for the regional final in Tallahassee. The number 6 national seed, Florida State, with a comfortable 7-0 lead over Jacksonville State. They're trying to win and move on to their 7th super regional in team history. We have a pinch hitter here for Florida State, Sabrina Stutzman, a redshirt sophomore out of Windermere, Florida, the 31st at bat of the season. Nicole Rodriguez, the third pitcher that Jacksonville State has used in this regional final. Faith Sims got the start. Kirsten Titus came in relief, and then Rodriguez came in to relieve Titus. When you have a program like Jacksonville State making its 9th NCAA regional appearance and 8th in the last 11 years, this opportunity to get experience at this stage just prepares you even more for next year when they'll want to make another run.
Well, to your point, I think that's why you see a lot of the choices that are made, even in this type of a game. It's to get people a little taste of it, get them some experience, so when they're back here again, they feel like they're a bit more comfortable in the situation.
Strikeout to open the inning for Rodriguez. This is the 4th time that Jacksonville State has been in a regional final. They were in it in 2008 in Tuscaloosa. In 2009 in Knoxville, they won the regional final against the Lady Vols of Tennessee. Moved on to the Super Regionals in Tuscaloosa and fell at Alabama. Then they played in the regional finals at Auburn in 2016. Kylee Hanson, the starter today for Florida State, chatting with Coach Alameda. As we're back to the top of the lineup in the 5th at bat of the day for superstar Jessie Warren. ACC career leader in home runs and RBI finds herself trailing 0-2. Into right field. Chambers with the catch. Why is she smiling, Sherry? She knows that she read that one a little wrong. She's just happy to make that play.
Chambers was part of that freaky play yesterday that was really a huge break for Jacksonville State against Kennesaw State. She missed a ball in the outfield. It bounced on the warning track and went out of the park. It was a ground rule double, and it was really the difference in that game. It extended the game. Had it not gone out of the park, if it just would have stayed in, Kennesaw State would have scored and won.
And you followed up with Florida State. They've never seen that here, Sherry. A ball bounce out like that over their relatively high fence in the outfield.
Well, they had a couple of things. That play they had never seen here before, the inside the park home run, walk-off home run they had not seen before. I asked the media relations representative, Scott Moriak, I said, have you had any other inside the park home runs this year? He said, not only this year, he said, I've been here for 5 years. I haven't seen one during that entire time.
A walk to Gordon. Let's send it to the studio for an update with Chris Cotter.
Well, can you get thrown out of the game for thinking something bad about an umpire?
Now batting, number 24, Sydney Sherrill.
Thank you, Chris. So that's quite a development in Lexington as the other ACC team in the field of 64, along with Florida State, Notre Dame, advances to the Lexington Regional Final to take on the host, Kentucky.
Notre Dame, we learned during the selection show, was one of those last 4 teams that actually got into the field of 64 and making the most of it.
Sherrill, hard hit, 2-run home run for Sydney Sherrill, her 10th of the year.
best hit ball we've seen all day long. Cheryl gets a pitch up in the zone and unloads on it. Look at that ball. That's some distance. That's some bat speed. Well hit.
Number 13, Anna Shelnut.
Sydney Sherrill taking the good example set by Carson Gordon yesterday, but Gordon's was of the inside the park variety. Today, Sherrill scores Gordon and herself with the outside the park variety, and Shelnut hit by a pitch. Hit by a pitch for the second time in this game.
Now batting, number 6, Zoe Casas.
Zoe Casas back in her spot in the lineup that in the last inning Elizabeth Mason hit in. First pitch strike. Casas had an RBI single in the 2-run 4th inning. Pop up into left, out of play.
Get to this stage, we saw Jimerson throw a good game yesterday too, and last night we talked about that a lot, and Rodriguez has been good in relief, and I think your scouting becomes limited in these types of situations, and really the hitters themselves just have to adjust from at-bat to at-bat, and it's a little bit different game than these teams are used to playing all year long when they are just have the scouting, plentiful scouting, and really be able to understand what's coming at them. A lot of game tape that they can watch all the time. You get this time of year against unfamiliar teams, it's a different challenge.
And it's the amount of time that you have to prepare. It's very short. If you think about Selection Sunday, it's a late night show, and then all of a sudden you've traveled and you're in position for practices on Thursday and opening play on Friday. It's a quick week, a lot to manage. Casas into left. Terry back at the track, it goes over her head. Shelnut comes around to score on the double for Zoe Casas.
And now Casas opposite field. It was elevated a bit, but off the plate, and Casas just hits that with power. It just looked like she reached out and touched it. It went a long way for that.
9th double of the season for Casas. First pitch strike to Danny Morgan. One thing that Coach Alameda knows moving into the postseason, she said, our defense is legit. We have seen their offense this weekend. We've certainly seen what they can do in the circle with Hanson's dominant pitching performance. Megan King, comparably terrific yesterday. Her defense a little bit more tested behind her than Hanson's was in the no-hitter on Friday.
King had 8 strikeouts herself, though.
Yeah.
They get their share.
Sure. The two defenders that Coach Alameda thinks don't get enough credit on this Florida State team are the catcher Anna Shelnut and first baseman Carson Gordon. It's interesting because Jana McGinnis said the same thing about her first baseman, Hayley Sims. She said, you know, she's really one of our most important defenders on this team because she's got a good stretch and a good reach and helps Caitlin Sapp and Taylor Bashirs Look good on those throws from across the diamond. Bashir stays with it. Cannot get the speedy Morgan on that throw.
Sometimes you need an out so desperately and you just can't get anything to go your way. That's pretty much a routine ground ball to Bashir's. She comes up with it and makes the throw, but just not in time.
Kylee Hanson, your hitter now. She's got an RBI single to her credit. Walked in the last inning with 2 outs, but left on first. Sapp with the grab and the throw for the 3rd out of the inning. Florida State plates a few more double digits in runs now, and this big hit, a big part of it from the fab freshman.
Oh yeah, Sydney Sherrill takes one out of here.
Welcome you back to Tallahassee, where Florida State is looking to wrap up this regional final in style and move ahead to the Super Regionals. A new pitcher in the circle, Sherry. This is Cassidy Davis.
Davis has 28 innings pitched on the season. She's limited in experience because of that, but she throws the ball hard and she'll work the lower half of the zone. And we talked about these coaches making substitutions, trying to get experience for various players, and this is a good call by Alameda to let Cass Davis have an inning in this postseason game.
Jacksonville State will go 2-3-4 in their lineup. Anna Chisholm, Taylor Bashirs, and Alexis Jimerson. Chisholm 0 for 2 today with a pair of strikeouts against Hanson. Rounds of defensive substitutions. Morgan Claveman is back in center field behind Cassidy Davis. Chisholm had a bunt single yesterday, and it was an important one for Jacksonville State. She came around to score what proved to be the winning run in their first elimination game against Kennesaw State. Into left. The play is made by Danny Morgan.
So the summary line for Kylee Hanson in the 2 games she threw against Jacksonville State this weekend, she had a total of 11 innings pitched, and in those 11 innings, she racked up 24 strikeouts. 1 hit.
Wow. Quick hit off the bat of Taylor Bashirs. Bashirs, the most valuable player of the OVC tournament. She hit .538 last weekend, had 4 home runs, hit a home run in all 4 games to help Jacksonville State advance to Tallahassee this weekend. And that brings up Alexis Jimerson. Played all 4 years for her dad, Baron Jimerson. All OVC first team this year, along with Bashirs on first. Faith Sims, the starter today, was also all conference on the second team, along with center fielder Emily Woodruff. One of my most memorable moments from this weekend in Tallahassee has to be our post-game interview last night with Alexis Jimerson. She had such a special day pitching that second game. 2 RBI, the game-winning hit to help her own cause. And to say she was a little emotional is an understatement.
She's got the Gatorade dousing before we could even get underway.
Reminds me of an old Motown song, Raindrops Hide My Teardrops, because she was definitely crying during that interview. You could tell from her, the intonation in her speech, just the elation of playing one more day, getting to this regional final. The 11th pitch of this at bat from Alexis Jimerson. She battles in that batter's box. Six, 4. Fielder's choice on your scorecard.
Florida State trying to turn this double play and wrap everything up. Cheryl gets rid of it in a hurry, and that was a nasty hop. Gordon thinking, I'd rather dodge this one than try to dig it out.
From her knees, got her. What a play by Jessie Warren to advance Florida State to the Super Regionals. The 10-0 victory over Jacksonville State.
There's that defense I was talking about with Jessie Warren. What a play to her backhand, gets up, throws it across the diamond, and Carson Gordon finishes it by a nice little dig on that play.
Florida State advancing to the Super Regional round, the 7th time, 6 in a row, and that's their 16th straight win in the regional round. Our Capital One player of the game, Sherry, is starting pitcher Kylee Hanson.
No surprise there. Kylee Hanson really set the tone for this entire game. She really set the tone for this entire weekend. When she came out on Friday dealing, in command, in control, she didn't blink again today. Just threw a gem and never really allowed Jacksonville State to get in this game from the very beginning.
Florida State improves to 50-10 on the season, their 17th 50-win season at the Division I NCAA level. Florida State moving on, and they will face the winner from Baton Rouge. The regional final between LSU and Louisiana currently underway. For Sherry Kemp and our terrific crew, thanks for spending time with the Tallahassee Regional. I'm Kara Capuano, saying so long from Seminoles country. Florida State moving on to the Supers.